and brand transformations for women entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and executives, and whoever that I fall in love with, man or woman. And so that's my new identity. But I have been doing design and branding for 20 years, and what that originally looked like was working in agencies in Vancouver. And then one day I woke up and I realized that I was living in Squamish. All of a sudden this seemed to happen. Living in Squamish, had 2 children. My relationship was just, spiraling downward fast. I was depressed, isolated, and I felt like my whole identity and grip on reality was completely gone. So, so basically the journey around visioning for me is from that point A that I was at, to recognize that, and then to find ways to vision myself out of it. And so that's the journey that I wanted to share with you today. So what happened was, this poignant moment where I think we've all had it, where we kind of, at one point or another, life gets to us, different things are happening, and you find yourself, crying at 3 in the morning with no answers. And I think probably most of us can relate to, you hit a wall. Like, I hit a wall where I actually did this, like, what am I going to do? Somebody please help me. I'm not religious, but if it's God, please answer this. What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? What's next? And then I started laughing hysterically because this big voice said, you don't need to do this anymore. There's no reasons to do whatever you're doing anymore. I did hear a voice. I'm insane. And it's on video. So I had the answer from whomever that was. And at the time I thought maybe my grandma, whoever, right? The universe, God, goddess. But that was pointed for me. It was, you know what? You don't have to do this. You can make any change anytime. And even though I think intellectually I knew that, I didn't know it in my heart. And so from that point, things started to show up. Some books, some mentors, coaches, and some tools. And so over the next 2 years, I created a really strong vision about what I wanted, and it was based in values. It was exploring what was meaningful to me, that passion was meaningful to me, that joy was meaningful to me, and that I deserved it, and that connection. When I worked with someone, I wanted to connect with them. I just didn't want this to be this surface conversation anymore, and I wanted purpose in my work. And I wanted to find a way to work with my family. I had 2 really young children. Even now, they're only 5 and 7. And so I wanted to be there for them. And having moved away from the city because of economic reasons, we had a nice home and a place there and a lovely place to raise a family. However, it was far away from my job and all my contacts in the city. And so I felt a little lost about how to deal with that. And I wasn't prepared to, although I did try for 3 months, to commute to the city 1.5 hours to 2 hours each day after a long day, and be away from these 2 little beings that that I wanted to be with. I didn't want to be with them 24/7. Don't get me wrong. I wanted some balance, which I know doesn't exist all the time, but I wanted to be able to be with them. So those things, those discoveries helped through groups like this and mentors and coaches helped me actually fashion my whole company. And so I don't speak on vision, like this is new for me, but it was really great in the last few days to look back, and so I'm really grateful to look back and say, wow, all of those challenges really led to, and wants and desires and needs and hopes really led me to be strong enough and fearless enough, which ended up being my tagline, Fearless Branding, was, for a better world, was the catalyst for everything that I do now. So it's who I work with. It's a niche market of women who are working on purpose and who are passionate about what they do. I love working with them every day. I don't want to work with people who I feel drained by, you know? And so I want to give, like I want to give myself, and so that helped form the niche market. And then also, you know, the big vision of wanting to be with my family really strongly helped inform how I work. So really researching, working remotely on Basecamp, using tools that I can work with anybody in North America now. So all of a sudden my market went from Squamish or Vancouver to North America, or, you know, English-speaking world really. So that, you know, that vision helped inform the way the companies run, right down to the very smallest pieces. So some of the tools that come to mind when I was thinking about this talk right away were that I came across and thought would be valuable to share. And one of them is that I tend to be this person, tell me if you're the same, where I can overload myself with a ton of goals, actually. You know, so I'll just sit down and be like, oh, I can have a goal here and a goal there and a shiny object here and I can have that there and I can have that there. And all of a sudden I have this list of goals that's really overwhelming and quite ineffective. So there's, if you imagine a square, there's one tool called the Peace of Mind square that I came across. And so you just break it down to 4 simple areas, which are the physical side, the spiritual side, the emotional / relationship side, and then on the bottom side you can call it work or money or wealth. And so you basically come down to 4 main areas of contentedness, right? And if you create a vision around those 4 areas, chances are you're going to be fairly balanced. And you can make goals upon goals in each one of those if you want to. But I think even for the year, what I do is just come back to those every year and say, you know, what's happening in each of those areas right now? And then connect emotionally to it. How do I want to feel? Not just this intellectual, what do I want to do, but how do I want to be in the world? How do I want to feel in the world? And, you know, and what I found out is that I wanted to feel like I was flying. I have a real connection to dragonflies, owls, like things with wings. I don't know why. Call me insane again. So I really have this visceral feeling of like wanting to grow wings. And so that feeling, that emotional connection that I allowed to happen by not being too scared or too in my head. In Squamish, you know, and so it ended up being that that's also in my brand messaging. So everything, you know, becomes one, and then you feel, or I feel like I'm working and living on purpose every day. So that was one tool. Am I getting on to my 10 minutes?
I didn't time you.
Yeah, I know. So basically the takeaways that I think were big things that I wanted to impart were knowing your point A and then the vision to point B. And the road's going to be rocky. It's like, you know that your limiting beliefs are going to come up and things are going to get hard and someone's going to get sick and all these things are going to happen. But just knowing that the road's going to be rocky is one step, and then, you know, being committed enough to that vision, emotionally connected to it, that it'll pull you through. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes we have these visions of goals and we set these time limits on them, and that's awesome, you know, with the SMART goals and all these things. But the reality is that it may take 10 years, it may take 2 years, it may take 6 months. But if the vision is strong enough about where you want to land, it doesn't really matter, because the journey is going to be pretty cool, even if some of it's pretty rocky. So the point A to point B, and then the collaboration, asking for support, being able to, when the universe kind of throws stuff in your path, being open to receiving and saying, oh yeah, maybe that person could help me work through this, or, you know, really not to be that island unto yourself, because it's so lonely, right?
Very lonely.
So along the way to your vision, keep connected with amazing groups like this, keep moving and believing, and you know, we'll all hopefully break through those glass ceilings in 2014 and beyond. So that's my share.
Thank you. Really good. So how many here are goal setters? Like hardcore. Keep your hands up if you're hardcore.
A-type personality.
Yeah. How many set it? Who sets a theme for the year? Yeah. Yeah. So I've always been a very hardcore goal setter most of my life. I love retreats. So I go on these 3 or 4 day retreats somewhere in the world and plan my life out and get real excited at it, and I write the same things down every time. Wait, go play tennis, get the loft of my dreams. I have to say, I can go back over the many years and go, oh, you write the same thing down every time you go on a retreat. But then I go on and I say, oh, why don't I do this every 6 months? It feels so good to go on a retreat and to like get away from your life and do the plan. So why don't I do it all the time? And then I wait 5 years and do it again. And then I say, why don't I do this every 6 months? But I've always been like do you guys set New Year's resolutions? Anybody? No. Nobody does that. So the hardcore goal setters, I used to do the New Year's resolutions, and then I would call 10 friends and say, let's do the accountability group. We got to keep accountable. And so I just wanted to give you a little background of how crazy I was in the past about goal setting. And about 3 years ago, I went to this thing called World Domination in Portland, and there's a guy that stood up. Leo, he owns, or he has a company called Zen Habits, and he gave up goal setting. So he says to the 2,000 people in the room, I gave up goal setting. And I wanted to jump up and just like start dancing and say, yes! Because I had just wrote my book, and people would ask me, what's your 5-year plan? That was a very common question. And I really hate that question. It's, I don't know what I'm going to do in 24 hours. So that when you ask me about the 5 years, I just really get kind of like, and maybe it comes with age, I'm thinking so. Because I think that when you're younger, it's all about like, where am I going to school, what's the next plan, what's the next thing. When you're in your 20s, it's all about, what's oh my goodness, I haven't done enough, right? And then you get a little older, and you realize that you have no idea what's going to happen in 24 hours, or 1 year, or 6 months, or whatever you decided to write on that goal thing. So I just really loved when he said that, although I was sitting with 1,999 people that did not like what he had to say. Nobody agreed with him but me. I go flying up to the front. I'm giving up goal setting. So I did. I've given goal setting up for about 3 years. And, because what he said made so much sense to me. He said if you were just like so hell-bent to get to your goal that you set, you miss the serendipity along the way. It depends what your personality is like. If you just have to get to that goal because you set it, then you do miss it out. Or you could maybe set loose goals or be open to serendipity. So I liked that. I liked just like, let's give that up. And so, but recently, in the past 6 months, that's not working so well for me. I need to reinvent goal setting, what it means to me now. So I've been spending time. I went on 2 retreats this year, one in June and one in December. The same one. I had to do a do-over because in June I was still in my little bit of a nervous breakdown, and I hadn't done urban campfire yet, so I didn't know if it was going to succeed or not. And literally in the 3-day retreat, we had to do this big mind map of our future, and I was blank. For the first time in my life, I could not write the future. I don't even know. I seriously did not know if I was ever going to get on another plane again to go to Amsterdam. I wasn't coming to Vancouver. I started crying. I'm like, I don't know. I see no light. I can't. So how can I set goals if I don't believe in them or I don't see? So I asked if I could go to the retreat again in December and do a do-over because I was like, you should see me in December. At the beginning of December, I was just like, wow. And I got my 2014 planned out. Although I'm more of a quarter. Could you guys plan very far out? How far out do you go? Yeah. I'm in the event business, so I always have to be thinking 6 months in advance. So that quarter to 6 months is about as far as I can think, because I feel like it's just so hard to think 12 months down the road. I wish that if anybody has any tips in this room, I'm so open to that. Because I feel like I'm always behind. Like, we don't even tell you guys when we're having this event. Until about 2 weeks before we have it.
It works in Vancouver, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very true statement.
Nowhere else it works here.
But then you get your Crave leader saying,
yeah, do it. we want to get it out. So my goal this year is to plan 3 months in advance.
But you're right, Vancouver is very much.
Yes, I hear that. You know what? Every city I go to, they say the same thing, by the way. They're like, oh yeah, we're last minute people. Yeah, that's what Vancouver said. But anyway, I got off track. But I went to an event called Emerging Women in, I think it was in October. Went went to Boulder, and I went to one of those breakout sessions that you do at events, and there's about 150 people in this breakout session. I was sitting in the middle of the room, and the woman stands up and says, "We're going to take you through a 10-year visualization." Can you imagine? I was going to try to bolt out of the room. Like, what? I can't. She's going to take me through 10 years? I'm the one that tells everybody, don't ask me my 5-year plan. And I have to sit in the middle of this room for the next hour and do this. And I couldn't get out, so I did it. She had us close our eyes, and she did a really great job. And she visualized. I was all out in my 10 years. And for some reason, when I woke back up, we opened up our eyes. We had to tell our neighbor what the top 3 things that we would do today or the next 6 months that would support what the 10 years looks like. And that was big for me. I hadn't done. I used to do that kind of work a long time ago, but I hadn't done it for a while. So I'm like, maybe this is okay. I still can't do 5 years. There's something about 10 years that when you think about 10, for me, it was like, it's more like a fantasy. It's a dream. You can do anything in 10 years. So I was like all over the place. But it was really cool to actually say, okay, this is what I want to be doing right now to support 10 years. It worked for me. But that 5-year thing does not. I don't think I'll ever embrace the 5 years. So anyway, I just wanted to share a couple little crazy thoughts about goal setting and intentions. This year I had because I'm a little crazy about marshmallows, on Christmas Day in the shower, where you get the ideas, I got out of the shower and I mind mapped what I was going to do on New Year's Day. I called it Urban Burn. I'm going to start an annual tradition. And because if you ever go look at my Facebook page, you'll see marshmallows.
I saw your marshmallows.
Everybody in the world posts marshmallows on my Facebook page because I've told everybody that I'm a freak about marshmallows, and I am. So now where everybody goes if they see s'mores or they see a marshmallow or they see a sign, they put it on my wall.
That's so cute.
And so somebody put on my wall this beautiful Martha Stewart wreath, marshmallow wreath.
Oh, cool.
Christmas. And I'm like, ooh, that's cool. And then Paul said, and he goes, we could make that.
And then we can eat it.
Yeah, so we got the old styrofoam thing and started putting marshmallows on it. And you know how they make the big ones now? So I got the big, medium, and little. And mostly Paul made the wreath. And I posted it on Facebook, and somebody goes, ooh, I can't wait to see that campfire. And I got the idea. I got to burn it.
So Burning Man?
Yeah, I looked at Burning Man. I looked at burning rituals. I'm like mind mapping away what I'm going to do to this wreath from my shower idea. So I called it Urban Burn because now I put the word urban in everything.
So that's a year from when you build the wreath?
No, so I built the wreath for Christmas, and then we put it on the outside of the door, and it lasted 2 hours. And the big ones fell off because they're too big, and you weren't supposed to use the big ones. And then somebody told me about floral glue. I didn't know about that. So the big ones started falling, and we opened the door, and they were on the ground, and then the whole thing crashed to the ground and broke in half. But I got the most beautiful picture of it first, because that's all we had. So now we turned it into a centerpiece. So now it's a nice centerpiece. And then I was making a big deal about this, and so then made the burn. So I had all these people come out to West Seattle. I picked Alki Beach, which overlooks Seattle because it's called Urban Burn, so I have to have a city background. So and it was illegal. That was my illegal thing for the day. My rebel thing. You're not supposed to burn on this beach. There's a sign. So I'm like, bring the police on. Would somebody please call the police? I wanted the police to come because I wanted to get into the West Seattle blog. It's kind of a big deal. You remember, you used to live in West Seattle.
Right.
But I didn't get in. They didn't care about me. But we did buy a burn bowl, and we put the wreath in the burn bowl. And then I had little marshmallow things, and everybody wrote their intentions down, and I made up this thing where usually you burn your past things, but I decided it's January 1st, we're going to burn what we want for our intentions to go into the new year, because I was making up the rules. So we burned the wreath. I have a whole video on it. You can watch it.
That's
posted
awesome.
it, so it's very cool. Why did I tell you that story? Because this year I'm
Theming.
I'm into intentions, and I pick my theme as love. I decided, my therapist says, what are you going to pick for next year? That's like, you went for the how am I going to beat that? Well, anyway, love. It's a good theme. Love came into my life after Urban Campfire. I got so much love. I've never experienced that kind of love before. So I want more of that. Just gonna say it. And then I want to love like that. And then I want to love everybody I'm around and everything I do. That's a good thing, isn't it?
It's a very good thing.
I've been working on it for 15 days. And it's challenging. It's a challenge. It's like, oh yeah, I don't love that. I'm supposed to love that.
Focus optimization.
Yours is what?
Focus optimization.
Give me like some more on that.
So basically, the ironic thing is I come from, my personality is more like the la 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 la, running through a field of daisies love, right? So that's how I usually operate. So I've realized that in my business, okay, that was great for the creating part and getting it going energy. But now in this year, I want to optimize all the different parts and make them work better. So I have to find this part of me that doesn't yet exist. That's all about systems and numbers.
We'll teach you to love those systems.
Yes. So throw out some themes that you guys picked for this year.
Creation.
Creation.
Change.
Cool.
Change. That's good.
Trust. Big. Trust.
Abundance.
Flow. What?
What?
Flow. Oh, flow.
Flow. They said flow.
Oh my God.
Mine's talk about overachiever. So you hit 50. I'm hitting 55. I already did the 50 thing.
You already went through that.
Already went through that.
Tell me it gets
You know
better.
what? It was better for the last year, but I feel your pain with Squamish because I've been living in Whistler for the last year. I so have to get out.
Yes.